afternoon, lovelies. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am so excited today to share with you, beautiful ladies. And it's an honor to be able to sit here and share on yet another day on another topic. And it's amazing that, hi Ven Vixen, thank you for joining. And it's amazing. I'm so happy that I'm able to do this today. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who have been supporting, who have been sharing, everyone who has, reached out to me personally to let me know that they have either been inspired, encouraged, or edified. And so it is an honor to be able to stream and share my experiences through the wisdom of God. And it is just such an honor, and I'm so grateful that you take the time out to sit and listen, whether you join live or you watch on the replay or the rebound. Either way, you'll still be blessed. So today I want to soften things up a little and talk about taking time to heal. Now, taking time to heal, it's a very rich topic, and I chose to soften things up a little today because for the past week or the past few episodes or broadcasts or streams have been a little bit heavy, so I wanted to do something a little soft today, a little bit more, on the delicate side. And hi Deborah, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And so taking the time to heal, it's such a it's an amazing topic that I want to share on today. And in a lot of cases, a lot of persons don't take the time to heal. And when we don't take the time to heal, for example, if individuals are sick in their bodies and they don't take the time to heal, they don't take the time to they don't take their medication, they don't follow the orders according to how the doctor has instructed them to, or they don't follow the instructions on the medication as is prescribed. And so you can find that if the instructions are not followed carefully, then their sickness or their illness can either prolong or it may get worse if these instructions are not followed carefully. And similarly, I believe if when we are hurting or we have been hurt and we don't take the time to allow ourselves to be healed properly from the inside out, then we can create greater issues for ourselves. And not just for ourselves, sometimes if we don't take the time to heal properly, we can in turn, cause an effect, or like a ripple effect almost on other persons in a sense. And taking the time to heal would mean that sometimes we have to learn to be alone. And being alone is something I think a lot of individuals struggle with. I myself struggled with that once. Well, when I say once, not literally just once, but in my past life, I struggled with what it meant to be alone. And being alone, it's a good thing, but I guess sometimes it depends on our perspective. It depends maybe on our outlook, and we may see it as a bad thing or a negative thing. But I want to give some upside as to what being alone can do for us, when we are going through some hurt or pain and we want to become healed from whatever it is that caused us hurt. And when we allow ourselves to be alone, one, it is sometimes preparing us for what is ahead. What is ahead can be something as beautiful as a beautiful task. God could be charging us to do something great in the future. We could have experienced what we have gone through, like I have or I did, that enables me to now be on this platform to share my stories with you all. the something sometimes that causes us hurt, causes us pain. It can sometimes be a relationship, it can be a friendship, it can be even things that did not go so well in families. And when we take the time alone, we're also able to process. If we allow ourselves to go through it the right way or the proper way, it allows us to be able to process what happened to us. It allows us to process what we experienced. It allows us to process what we heard. It allows us to process what we ourselves have thought about the whole situation. Now, being alone, in preparing, in allowing ourselves to be alone and allowing it to prepare us for something greater ahead, it could also mean that we will be going into a new relationship, or we'll be going into a new friendship, or we'll be working on things with our families. Now, even co-workers, because sometimes we go through things or experience some kind of hurt, even with bosses and stuff like that. And when we take the time alone, as I'm saying, that the preparation, it could be preparing us when we take the time to be alone. It could be preparing us to become wiser, smarter individuals. It could be preparing us to make better decisions, stronger decisions, the decisions that will impact our lives in a greater way, in a more positive way, in a more beneficial way. It could be preparing us to be able to handle what is to come, and what is to come could be something that is greater than what we had experienced, and it could be greater than what we experienced in a negative way or in a positive way. Now, if it is something that is preparing us for that may be negative, that we may be facing in the future, it would mean that because we had taken the time to process what we had experienced before, it allows us to know how to handle the future situation. If it's a negative thing, then that thing won't push us like the previous situation had pushed us, or cause us to feel defeated, or cause us to feel like we are going under, and make us to feel like we cannot pull through or push through or survive. Now, if it's something that's greater in a positive way, because we would have processed what went wrong or what we experienced in the past, it prepares us to be more resilient, more cautious.Maybe it could be preparing us to be more patient, because sometimes if we don't have the patience to handle certain things, it can push us into greater hurt, because sometimes we have to learn to be patient with situations or with individuals, and that's not easy to do, because patience is something that we have to work so hard on to achieve. And there's a scripture that talks about, let patience have her good work in us. So that means if we allow patience to have her good work in us, then we will be better individuals coming forward or going forward. And one of the other things that when we take the time to be alone, one of the other things it does for us is it allows us to rest and recharge. If it's something that we experience that is heavy on our minds, in our thoughts, that's heavy in our hearts, that has even caused us physical pain, because sometimes we experience things in such a way that it affects us, it affects us physically too, where we become so stressed, we become depressed, we become that kind of stuff, so we're not able to really function the way we are supposed to really function. And taking the time alone, in resting and recharging, and I'm going back to where I started, when an individual is ill, the doctor will also instruct the patient to take time to rest, because when we rest, there's something biological that's happening to the human body. The body is being able to be repaired. So added to the medication that a doctor will give us to repair whatever is happening to us medically, right? When we rest, that is also causing something great to happen to us. because in resting, we're able to recharge, we're being restored, we're being replenished, we're being revived. It would mean that, we're better able to think clearer, we're able to think smarter, wiser, we're able to think in a way that will cause us to make better decisions that we will not later regret. And it's a good thing to take the time alone. And one of the other things that are other benefits of being alone is that we take the time to grieve. Now, grieving, sometimes persons would think, or maybe put it with just losing a loved one. Maybe a loved one has passed, they died. That's not the only thing we grieve over. We also grieve over a loss of a job, maybe a job that we've been working in a business or a company for years, and we thought that maybe we had invested so many of our years, with that company, so much of our time, and that kind of stuff. It could be the loss of, or we could be grieving over relationships. Relationships ended that we never thought or knew would have ended suddenly, or over time, because we had invested so much of our years, so much of our time, so much of our energy, so much of even our resources. We sometimes invest in relationships, and sometimes these relationships might not just be spousal relationships. Sometimes these relationships are also friendships, because we do invest in these things. And when we invest in these things, what happens when we lose them is that it makes it hard sometimes for some persons to function, to cope, to think straight, to act right, and to do right by themselves. And so when we take the time to grieve, it allows us to also feel the emotions of what it is that we are grieving over or grieving for. When we take the time alone to grieve, it makes us to do some form of introspection. When we take the time to grieve, it causes us to reflect and meditate on what just happened. I lost this, or I lost this person, or I lost that relationship. Then how will I be able to now move on? How will I be able to move forward? So taking the time alone is some of what it does for us when we take the time alone. And in doing that, it leads to taking the time to heal. And I must say that years ago, I struggled with the very same thing, understanding and learning to be alone. And sometimes, and from a relational perspective, being in a relationship doesn't work. I did not give my time to be healed. I did not give myself time to process, what had happened. I lost even friendships that meant so much to me. And it took a toll on me, because though that friendship was really, really a very strong friendship, and I believe that God had brought that person in my life. And also too, maybe it was just a season that God sent that person in my life. And even relationships with spouses, sometimes that individual may just be in our lives for a particular season, and maybe that's not necessarily the person that God wants us to spend our lifetime with. Sometimes that may be the case. And so when I lost these friendships and the relationships, what happened is that it took me a while to understand that I need time to process all of these things that I'm telling you that are benefits that I did not understand and practice them. So when it comes to relationship with a spouse, because I didn't give myself time enough, I found that I would have entered into another relationship with so many broken pieces that were not mended, broken pieces that were just shattered, that needed to be mended in order for me to now become whole, to be a better person in the next relationship, or to understand my worth, to select better in whom I would choose in the next relationship. So because I didn't understand what being alone meant, because oftentimes I think we tend to mistake alone with lonely. Now I said something right there. That's a nugget for somebody to take away right there. And the slight difference between loneliness or being lonely and alone is when we're alone, there's no company. We have no company among us or with us, right? And when we become lonely, that's when sadness starts to set in. And when sadness starts to seep in, it can or may lead to becoming depressed, feeling frustrated, don't like the idea of being alone because we're feeling lonely. And this can push us into starting a relationship that we should have never yet entered into, whether it be friendships or spousal relationships, or maybe even a job, like I mentioned, because sometimes we need to take that time, as I mentioned earlier, to process these things, take the time to heal, and meditate and do some introspection to see where we're at emotionally, to see where we're at mentally, to see where we're at psychologically, and to see where we're at physically, because sometimes too, as I said, these things can affect us in such a way that it impacts our physical man, and it can create greater problems. Now, when we don't understand how to process things in our alone time, and we find ourselves becoming or feeling lonely, loneliness can also push us into desperation. It can make us tell ourselves that I don't like to be alone, and I've heard several women say this, young and persons in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, persons who are born again believers even. I've heard Christian women say this, they don't like to be alone. I myself said this in the past. And what that is, that can lead us to our own detriment by running into something or jumping into something that we are not yet ready for, right? And what happens is that when we start feeling lonely and those things seep in, we become so desperate that we may find ourselves doing things, saying things, acting in particular ways, or like I mentioned, entering into relationships that we were not ready for, entering relationships that these individuals are not the right kind of people we need to be involved with or have in our circle, and that kind of stuff. And there's no shame or no crime in being alone. It's just that we don't sit and learn and try to understand what being alone means, or why am I alone. And may I share something even more greater? I can remember almost 5 years ago, my sister, one of my sisters died. I'm the youngest sibling on both sides for both parents. And one of my eldest sister died from my father's side, and I was grieving. It was a grievous moment to have lost her, because she was such a beautiful soul and I was learning so much from her. And my older daughter, she was about to make way overseas to start school, and all of this tore something inside of me, because I'm saying I'm just getting to know this sister and spend more time with her, and she's imparting so much to me, and she's gone. And my child, Devorah, which is my older child, she was my only child at the time. We have never been apart, and for her to be going overseas to school, yes, that was a new journey. Yes, it was something awesome. Yes, it was something that it was a blessing. But in the same breath, a part of me was ripped. My heart was torn, because I'm like, my only child, she's gone so far. It's not like I can just jump on a bus, jump on a taxi, and there she meets me. She's so many miles away from me. And when that happened, I I prayed, and like I keep mentioning in my streams, I love to pray. I pray and literally cry to God, to every single solitary thing. And that's how I'm able to pull through and stand here with this courage that I'm standing here with. And as I mentioned, that these things will cause you grief. But after my daughter actually went away, maybe 2 months after my sister died, I was at that home alone. There was no company. So like I mentioned earlier, alone means no company. I had nobody around me. But there was something knocking in my spiritual womb called purpose. And some may understand this, some may not understand it. And what was happening during that time, I was alone. I was spending a lot of alone time with myself and talking to God to say, God, why am I alone now? Why now? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of this time alone? Right? And as I mentioned that earlier, that one of the benefits of being alone is it's preparing us for something. But if we do not understand why we're alone, then we can fall into something else. And during that period, I was really questioning God a lot. And I remember coming across, now my sister had a legacy of books, she had a whole lot of books. But I don't know, there was this particular book that for some reason just jumped out at me. And it's called Purpose Driven. And by Rick Warren, I think is the name. And I was like, God, this is weird, because during that season 2, I was asking God, what is my purpose? I was asking God, what am I here for? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Who am I? I was beginning to ask all these questions. And as I kept asking God these questions and all this stuff, I was reading these books and I was journaling. And I say, God, there has to be more to my life than just this. You caused me to be alone for a reason. And so seeking God to ask him what my purpose is, years later, this what I am doing is a part of my purpose. To encourage you, woman of worth. To inspire you. And to encourage you and pray that my stories will bring hope and healing to you. And also that you will walk in transformation. And as I continued to share on during that period of time, that I was taking the time to heal. So I was not looking for a relationship because I was single for a while and for a few years. And the thing is that, of course, a part of me wanted a companion, wishing that I had a partner. But in the same breath, there was something greater that was knocking on the inside to say there's more to your life, there's purpose, and I need to seek it. So as I make mention that alone time too means that God is preparing you for something greater, but will you allow the preparation to take its course? Will you allow that process of being alone to take its course? Will you allow yourself to heal? Now, healing, as I mentioned in one of my other streams, that healing is also a process. And when we allow ourselves to go through the process of healing, we'll walk into wholesome healing. Now, I'm not saying that I am walking in wholesome healing in every area of my life, because there's always room, because sometimes we may think that a particular part of us is healed. We may tell ourselves that my heart is healed from all the brokenness, my heart is healed from all the pain and the hurt that people cause me, whether friends, family, spouse, co-workers, bosses, whatever. We may tell ourselves that we are healed, and sometimes we may be experiencing some form of healing. We may be walking in the healing process. But when we walk in wholesome healing, it gives us power. it enables us to do things that we were not able to do before when we were partially healed. Similarly, again, to when a natural hurt man is ill, if a man breaks his leg or a woman breaks her arm and the arm or the leg is not fully healed, they don't take the time to heal it by resting it, by not hackling it too much, by not trying to walk on it, by not trying to take that broken arm and start doing all kind of stuff before the time that the doctor had instructed they should give it to be able to heal. What will happen, they will irritate the arm or the leg, and the process will be, they'll be going through the process all over again, and the pain could maybe even harder or hurt more than it was before when they initially broke the arm or the leg. And it can be looked at in the same way if we don't take the time to really process these things and allow healing to take its course. Then we won't experience the wholesome healing that will cause us to operate in confidence, in boldness, in victory, to operate in wisdom, so it's important to take time to heal. And I just want to say too that Jesus, he took quite some time away from everyone. He would have fed the hungry, healed the sick, delivered those who were possessed and all that kind of stuff. And from time to time, he would go away alone over to the other side or up in the mountains by himself, talking to God. So may I implore you today to take that alone time to talk to God, to take that time to prepare, to ask God what is it that he's preparing you for that is to come. May I implore you also to take that time to grieve, to feel the emotions of what you have just experienced, and allow yourself to heal. May I also implore you to reset your focus. When you take the time alone, because sometimes when we experience all these things and we are not yet healed, or focus, we don't have that focus happening. And so you'll find a lot of things going on in our minds, in our thoughts, in our heart. It's more like our emotions are talking to us rather than the wisdom of God. It's more a place of reactions rather than responses that we are operating from. So it is very important to reset our focus. Like a camera, when we set our focus, we're zooming in on the thing that needs our utmost attention, and that is us, the individual. To focus on us first, and to prepare ourselves and to do all the things that are necessary to take the time to heal, so that we are able to walk in wholesome healing. And I just want to say that don't be too hard on yourself. If you've tried before to take the time to heal, you've tried to take the time to be alone and it didn't work the first time, keep trying. There's a saying that goes, Rome never built in a one day. Jesus himself never built the world or the earth in one day. It took him days. Likewise, it's important to take the time and not be hard on yourself. Take the time and improve yourself. Take the time to heal. Be gentle, be patient. And if you're not able to do it on your own, and you think there's someone that you can reach out to that can share some words of wisdom and stuff like that, go right ahead. Feel free to do that. Now, in saying all of that, I just want to say thank you again for joining, whether you're watching live or listening, or you'll be watching on the replay or the rebound. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and follow on Instagram at anointed_2_encourage, on YouTube at Aura Woman of Worth Francis, on anchor.fm/aura-Brian, and also you can find me on Spotify. Remember to share your comments, share your feedback. I really want to hear from you. I really need to know what is your takeaway. How has these streams or this podcast been inspiring you or encouraging you? How has it been impacting your life? I would love to hear from you. Please remember to share. Thank you for those who are just joining. I see you, Jeline Henry. Thank you for joining. It's awesome and amazing when we take time to heal. Take time to heal. Love upon yourself, woman of worth. You are that woman of worth. Now, some may say, why not woman of worth? Yes, it's a community of women, but for every story, I believe it's speaking to that one woman. It's impacting that one woman. It's inspiring that one woman. It's encouraging that one woman. It's edifying that one woman. And I say that because not every story that I share will necessarily be for every individual that listens or watches. There is that story for that one person that they will be able to learn and take from. So remember to share, and to let me know in the comments what your feedback is, what your comments are, what your takeaway is. It would mean a great world to me because I would love to know. And if there are any questions too, I would love to hear them. So please remember to share, like, subscribe, and follow. I love you, but God loves you more. Shalom.